Welcome to the downside. I'm in a punchy mood because I have. If you're watching the video, check out the video today because I got a bad sty.
I was going to ask what's going on with your eye,
I got a gnarly sty, and I went to the City MD this morning, and they sent the prescription over to Dwayne Reed. And then I went to my Soul Cycle. I tried to make it all work.
Wait, you do Soul Cycle?
Oh yeah, Soul Cycle.
I mean, yes, but not in a long time.
Do they have like a unicycle Soul Cycle?
That would be horrible.
That would be. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be exhausting. Riding a unicycle is like doing a one-legged squat. So like, anything more than 10 minutes, I'm like, I need to get off.
You should make that. If you had a 10-minute workout class.
I have.
It's a unicycle.
I actually have a 10-minute workout class. I do.
Really?
It's a downloadable program that I created during the pandemic, but there is no unicycle involved. It's actually just accessible for people.
Do you ride to like clown music? Like Soul Cycle is always to like Beyonce or whatever.
That's offensive what you just said, just so you know.
Is it like calling a police officer a cop? Is that what I just did?
Wait, is that... You're not supposed to call a police officer a cop?
My mom always told me that was inappropriate, too.
You just called him what, a pig?
Yeah, you just called him a murderer.
Welcome to the downside.
Hey, we're getting into it.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
A cop? That's the nicest you're getting out of me. What do you say, officer?
I don't say anything, but you're not supposed to call them cops.
You call in like grills for being too loud, like people having a pool party next door, and you call the police. What do you say?
Look at you thinking I have a pool.
I'm here. Listen, we last week we had an episode with my regular co-host Russell Daniels. He's currently understudying Josh Gad on Broadway, Gutenberg the musical, and hope he goes up in a safe way where Josh Gad is safe.
Yeah.
But maybe Josh says, you know what? One show off. What is it going to do you, Josh? Go record Ice Age 25, make $1 million, let Russell go up once. I don't think he's going to like me talking about any of this. He gets very nervous. I'm here with my guest co-host. She's been on the podcast before. Yeah. Once was my opener.
I still am sometimes.
Sometimes when the money's good enough.
If you get a gig,
when the money's good enough, I say, all right, this is Ariel money.
I'd do it.
Ariel Elias, welcome to the downside. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be Russell's understudy.
Yes.
Yes. That's how the economy of entertainment works.
If Josh Gad and Russell get sick, you will be in Gutenberg the musical.
I'm on Broadway.
And we're here with our guest. Now, how do you like to say the number of? Is it contortionist first? Is it comedian first? What is it?
That's a very respectful question.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
I like to refer to myself as an entertainer in general.
Okay, I like that.
I do a one-woman circus show that involves essentially stand-up comedy with high-level circus tricks is kind of how I'll explain it to people who have no idea what I do. Because I say circus, and they're like, oh, Cirque du Soleil. You put on a bunch of makeup and like dance around to music for 3 minutes. And it's like, no, it's actually a long-form show.
Yes.
That's theatrical. I'll host, I'll do MC work, depending on what I'm hired for.
Is that a better assumption, though, of pre-Cirque du Soleil? I feel like it was, you're in the circus.
Like
Barnum
elephants
and Bailey.
like sure. And a lot of what I do stems from that lineage of traditional circus. There's trad circus and there's modern circus, which are kind of these two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Is
We're
short for traditional?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like
we're getting in the lingo.
Yeah. They use the vernacular of the circus industry, right? So you have the traditional circus, which is your ring, 3-ring, do clowns, elephants, Barnum and Bailey, Clyde Bailey Cole, that kind of circus. And then you have the modern circus, which kind of started through Cirque du Soleil and then kept going through a lot of like high-end dance companies that started doing more acrobatic style work. And that developed into companies like the Seven Fingers or Cirque Elias, which you may or may not have heard of.
Well, let's see our background first. What is yours? Because I remember seeing Cirque du Soleil. That was my like intro into, I guess, what do we call it? Modern circus?
Modern circus.
Have you seen Cirque du Soleil?
I saw, I think, a traveling group of Cirque du Soleil in New Jersey when I first moved to New York. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. I did like the circus when I was a kid. And then you find out, like, they're all con men. Is that?
They're all con men.
Am I wrong? Am I just fully Like,
you find out they're all filthy.
am I just?
No,
This
wait. Well, let's
It's like
okay.
a debunk the circus.
Yeah,
myth.
yeah.
Let me just say for people just joining.
full of myths and ready to offend everybody.
I'm so ready. This is great.
Let me just say for those who are new, this is the downside. This is a place where we can get negative, we can complain, we can talk about things in an honest way. We don't have to put a bow over it. We don't have to pretend that City MD isn't one of the worst institutions ever in America to occur, or that
Horrible.
they shouldn't give me my $25 back because I went there so they would send it to Dwayne Reed, and Dwayne Reed said they didn't have the prescription. And then I went back to the City MD. We can complain is the point. And that's why I'm excited. I'm so happy to have you. Before we get into where I saw you recently, because I went to the Renaissance Fair, which we're going to plug it all, I do want to say I feel like we have a good downside from your end. We did a show 2 days ago, right?
At Gotham,
At Gotham. Seinfeld stopped by.
Gaffigan stopped
stopped by. I
Roddy
got
Chang
paid. I
stopped
didn't
by.
have to go.
You didn't go.
Which I'm at the
That sounds
age.
like a great night.
Which I'm at the age that is great. There was a time, and older comics would always be like, "Oh, one day you'll be happy when the show's canceled," and they were right. They were right. There are days, $75.
Yeah, it's the
and I'm
closest
out.
you'll ever get to feeling like a farmer. You're just getting paid not to work.
Exactly.
Offended.
But you took the bullet, and you took a bullet. You took a couple bullets.
Oh my God. I went up first at this show, and as soon as I got on stage, this was also Labor Day, like
Yeah.
the day of Labor Day.
Ugh.
And audiences, I don't know if it's the same for your shows, but they tend to be holiday day audiences are day drunk. And then they come to a show and they're hammered and they're passing out and it's early. So it's bad
I get that.
Yeah.
and they're dumb.
Yeah.
And I went up, and as soon as I got on stage, there was a guy in the front row who said, "She better be funny."
Whoa.
As soon as I got on stage. And then I did my set, and I
Now,
think
did you say anything?
I
you-
didn't. And here's why I didn't say anything is because I was just there on Saturday, and at the early show, again, Labor Day weekend audience, early, day drunk. I got a little heated with somebody in the audience. These two
Wow.
guys, it was the same thing. As soon as I got on stage, they both started interrupting every single joke. They were lying to me when I tried to do crowd work with them.
That's the
So they're
worst.
not
Guys,
even
don't lie
playing
with the crowd
along.
work.
A phone went off during my set.
The worst.
And it was a 3 Doors Down ringtone.
Oh my God. Wait. Okay. That's okay though. That's a little more okay.
Kryptonite?
Yes, Kryptonite.
Yeah.
And then as I was trying to get off stage, I have this joke about having an IUD and the doctor telling me that I have a very narrow canal. And
Right.
as soon as I said that, the guy in the front row goes, "That's surprising." And I
Wow. Is this the same guy? Wait.
no
different
guys.
guy. Okay.
At the same club.
Multiple assholes.
And I was trying to get off stage. I even said, "This is my last joke." I said it. He interrupted it. And then I got off stage by going, fuck you, thank you, everybody else. And
Nice.
got off stage. So I was trying to be calmer on Monday and just let that go.
That is tough. That's a tough back-to-back.
It was a bad weekend.
That's why I tell our listeners, when a female comic goes on stage, you say, whether you're good or not, I don't mind. And let them know there's
You say women can be funny.
Uh-huh.
You say
I
that.
get a lot of surprised older men after my shows who are like, you were funny. You were funny. Like it's like this big groundbreaking thing. And I'm like, thanks, I've been doing this for 10 years. I better be. Like, we're at a giant Renaissance festival.
I wonder how long it goes when they
like-
go to bed that night and they go, she was funny.
She was funny.
And then hopefully they die. Because their time has come.
Do you get a lot of creeps?
You must. So, okay.
It's interesting because surprisingly enough, so I did a duo show with a man. It was a female male duo, me and my ex-partner, and we worked together for 8 years. And it was a very fast-paced 2-person comedy, romantic subject matter show, acrobatic show. So he threw me around a bunch and did flips, and it was very fun. And I never got hit on when I was working with him because I was performing with a man. So I do this entire first phase of my career being like protected, and then I split off and I go solo, and suddenly like the floodgates open. But interestingly enough, the men who are obviously like interested, enamored, or like caught up in my stage persona and my character are actually awfully extremely polite. They're like very they're like they'll like come into my DMs like, excuse me, miss, you are beautiful.
And
like,
do you think that's because they saw you most likely at a Ren fair, and so they're into the chivalry idea?
Milady.
Milady.
really, they're often significantly older.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at least 10 years older than me or 20 years older than me of like, and I think there actually might be some sort of interesting change of people not wanting to completely come off rude. Maybe.
Well, you also,
possibly.
to be fair, because I saw her act on Saturday, there's whips and there's fire.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
And like,
cool.
Right.
I don't,
Weapons.
And I definitely have a more like dominatrixy persona
Sure.
in the show. So I think the guys that I'm getting are also a little subby. So like that can be a thing where they're like, "Hello, hi, how can I serve you? You're beautiful." Which honestly, I prefer that coming into my DMs than like some rude, disgusting dick pic, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I gotta
better.
start going on stage just
I
with
can
a
handle
whip and
that.
never address it.
If you went on Gotham with a whip and you didn't do anything with it,
Nothing.
but
Just held it the entire time.
oh, that's not a bad idea.
No,
should
that's
Just
try
the
not a
whip.
bad idea.
And
Only
just
on
speak
holiday weekends.
slowly.
I don't need it normally.
So I saw you. You are currently in the Renaissance. It's called the Renaissance Fair.
The New York Renaissance
The
Fair.
New York Renaissance Fair in Tuxedo Park.
Yes.
I've always wanted to go to one of these things. I didn't like do it. I'm not a
did you dress
dress-up
up?
guy. I'm not a dress-up guy. So many things about me. Very theatrical,
Yeah.
very feminine in nature. Dressing up, not at all.
That's okay.
It's just like it's stuff. It's uncomfortable. I think my skin is sensitive. In theory, if I were to do a Renaissance dress up, the one I'd want to do would be the former shirtless, and I'd get ready, and I'd wear like a leather, went around like the.
What
neck
do you
and
mean
then-
by get ready? Like you would shred?
You know, I'm going shirtless for the whole Renaissance Fair. Yeah, I'm
Sunscreen.
doing a
You
couple
just need
extra Soul
sunscreen.
Cycles.
Just like two coats of SPF.
Sunscreen and a wax.
Yeah. Yeah, you wear like a little leather harnessy situation.
Yeah, well, like where it's one shoulder.
Yes.
It's some
Yeah.
kind. I don't know what in battle that used to be.
Of course, you're gonna do an off the shoulder.
And off
There's a
the
name
shoulder.
for it. There's a name for those that I don't remember. A formal name.
And
for
a
the-
sword. I feel like a sword is cool. But
shoulder.
there were people there doing like, they were like the priest, the olden time priest, the olden time jester. It was hot. So I went to this Renaissance Fair. It's very cool. I recommend it if you're there, whether this one or the next one. And it's a fascinating place because it's a lot of like nerd culture. And there's a lot of like families and kids. These kids dressed like Zelda and Link. It's very cute. And it's just a different world. It's just a different world, and you get to see some people really get to like live the life they want to live.
Yeah, I often describe it as a mixture between a music festival, a farmer's market, and like a costume party.
Yeah. Now I will say, the food was better than you'd think. Like
Good turkey leg?
I think there's
Yes.
probably a bad version of a Renaissance
Yes.
fair where it's like bad shit food.
Yes.
This had a turkey leg,
Uh-huh.
which is for my opinion, it's good for 3 bites.
Yes,
But
of
this is
course.
turkey legs, period.
not
There's a
great.
reason you don't go to Le Pain Quotidien and they serve a turkey. Is that right? Is that how you say it? Le Pain Quotidien?
Excuse you.
I say they don't have turkey leg. You can't go on DoorDash and get a turkey leg, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It's not a great bone
Yeah,
to
yeah,
eat
yeah.
off if it's fun. And then you're like, what is the rest of this?
Where does it rank the Renaissance Fair? Where does it rank food wise with medieval times?
Oh my God, significantly better.
Okay.
Yeah, especially the New York Renaissance Festival has some of the best food out of any Renaissance festival I work. There are about 35 Renaissance festivals across the country, ranging in size. Some of them have like 1,000 people per day. Some of them have 40,000 people per day.
What was this one?
About 20, 15 to 20, I believe.
right.
20,000 people per day?
I'm not exactly
Wow.
sure. I cannot be like legally quoted on those numbers, but it's between 15 and 20 per day. The day you came was not that many. It was a lighter day, but it does get up to that that
Yeah.
capacity. But it's New York. So if
Right.
the food was shitty, these people would revolt and just not show up. So this is definitely one of the best food, like, option situation menus. They have more vegan options and dairy-free options than most other fairs. They have more, like, actual food and not just, like, processed fried shit, too. So,
And right on the cusp of, it's not cheap,
no.
but it's not so. When I was in Vegas, for me, Vegas hit a point of it's so expensive and it's so bad
Yeah.
that I felt the whole time like I was in a world of being ripped off.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was
yeah.
right. Now, did I wish the glass of mead wasn't the smallest plastic cup I've ever seen in my life? Yes. Was it $15? Oh, yeah. Dude, I tip every time because when you tip, they go, huzzah!
Huzzah for the
And
tipper, and they
ring
ring
a
the bell.
cymbal.
That's very
And
exciting.
why aren't they
They
doing
should do that more.
Everywhere.
I would
And it's
tip
funny 'cause
everywhere. I would start tipping my waiters if they did that.
I work at Renaissance festivals most of the year, and when I go to places that don't do that, and I tip, and I internally expect somebody to scream, I get a little sad. I get a little
you leave a
sad.
tip at Starbucks, you're like, anything?
And did they
Anybody? Huzzah? No, huzzah.
Was tipping culture a thing back in Renaissance times?
I don't know how
Is
accurate.
it historically accurate?
Well, what
It's a
is
fantasy
Renaissance?
fair.
Because we were talking about this at the fair. I said, where is this European? Is
It's
this a
supposed
certain...
to be like England
It's for sure
in
white.
like 1500, very
Oh,
white.
It's
the
for su-
whitest.
It's very white. And I think the thought that I kept having was I was like, I could see some of these neo-Nazi type people that if they just at the right age, they had just gotten into Lord of the Rings, they would not be a problem. They would get out whatever it is of wanting to dress up. If instead of we're both Jewish. You're Jewish
We do,
too. We're all
yeah.
Italian
Jews.
Look at that.
Instead of putting on the armband, they put on a shoulder strap.
Sure.
They'd be much less of a problem.
there is some reenactment crossover that can happen in it. Yes, sure. I think
Anyone ever come in a costume where it's like, why is there a Confederate soldier at the?
I don't think they'd make it past security, but
Ooh.
Oh, so does security have to be pretty knowledgeable about historical costumes?
made us all
no.
take
But
off our armbands.
if you
It was
have
wild.
a weapon, they peace tie it.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're carrying a weapon through the front gate, like if you have a sword or if you have some sort of
It's a
like
peace tie.
they tie it, they zip tie it to you, so you can't pull it out.
Oh, you
And
gotta
I mean,
run
sure,
into
you could,
somebody
like-
to hurt them.
Conceptually cut a zip tie with some scissors, but it is a like a method of being like, we are aware that you have a large sword and this is a public festival with children, so we're like zip zip zip. So it's
That's
like
always
tied
been
to
my
the
thought of
costume.
the solution to the gun problem in America.
It's just zip ties.
No, not it's more get guys back into swords.
Yeah.
Because guys want something. They want, and women too, but a lot of guys, they want something. They want to feel like they have something, and they want to feel cool. And swords.
My partner keeps a giant katana next to our bed, so I feel great about that.
Does that make you feel safe?
It does.
What about you? Is your whip there too, or you just let the?
We actually have a rack of other whips as well, but those will be significantly less effective.
If
Against
you
an
had that whip and someone
intruder.
was attacking you, would you be able to use it, or would you just be able to do tricks? And it would be,
Would you be able to
just
attack him or
confuse
just
them.
impress him?
Be like, look at this under the leg. Woo! I don't. I think it would be more startling and extremely loud. I mean, I guess I could hit somebody with it, but I'm not. That's probably not.
can it
super
be a weapon?
Effective.
It is, or is it just for?
It
I
can.
thought whips are more for like
absolutely-
horses to like
Yes.
go there.
So
go there.
historically, whips are used as for many things, but mostly for animal moving. So you make the large sound here, and the animal moves away from it, right? So it's herding large animals into spaces where you want them to be as a farmer. And then, of course, there's the historical stereotype of it being used during slavery, which is unfortunate and frustrating, especially for the sport and circus whip community, who obviously have no intention of that
course.
being a subtext at all. And a lot of horrible things were used for that absolutely horrible time period in our country's history. But
Unicycles too.
you But that sticks with it sometimes as well. And then there's like the dominatrix element of it, of like play.
That's a full gamut
There's
of
a
things.
lot. There's a lot. It's a very, and then there's like the Western art of it. And the whip industry and the whip community is actually really cool because you have so many different people who use it for so many different things. So many people just love it because of Indiana Jones.
Sure. I
And
feel
Catwoman and all of these other like comic book figures.
Catwoman used a whip?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought she just used all of her senses.
Oh, there's a super sexy whip scene. She's great.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
No, it sounds like it. We had a taxidermist on.
Ooh.
And she's queer and she's like cool and hip. And I talked to her about like the taxidermy community is a mix of like her community and then like older guys. Same way I feel like with whips. I feel like whips has to be diverse.
So diverse. There's the Los Angeles Whip Convention, which is a really super cool gathering that happens in January, and it's hosted by this guy, Adam Winrich, who has the most whip world records in the world. He's up to like 35 or something.
What does that mean? How do you have a whip world record?
I don't want to misquote his actual records, but like the heaviest whip ever cracked. He has like a chain whip that weighs like 40 pounds, or the longest whip ever cracked, or the most cracks in this amount of time. He cracks bottle caps off the top of his head. He does it. It's wild. He's extremely, extremely skilled.
I just wonder how you like when you come up with a new record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's existing records, but then like, does he say a longest one,
You
the
apply.
littlest one, one made out of feathers? Like
You pitch it to Guinness.
you pitch, yeah.
You pitch it and you submit an application, and they review it, seeing is this worthy of a record. So
Do you
like,
have any?
I did not, but I have pitched one, which was the most targets cracked with a whip on a unicycle in a minute.
Wow, that is so specific.
And actually, it got rejected because it was too specific. They were like, "This is too specific. There aren't enough people that would also try to break this."
Yeah.
As well.
So now you need
I need
to
something that's a
find
little
like
vaguer.
9 other whippists. Is that what you're called?
Whippists.
And have them
Whip
also
crackers,
submit
maybe.
the same thing.
Wait, are they called whip crackers?
I would say whip crackers or
No,
like whip artists.
we cannot be called
Crackers?
whip crackers. Crackers?
What about whipped creamers?
Whip creamers?
That sounds a little bit
Whippists. I like
Whippists.
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 I think whip artists, bull
Whip
whip
artists.
crackers, bull whip artists.
You
is
can't
another
say
thing.
crackers in here. We just talked about the horrible history of it. We can't bring crackers back
That's
into
fair.
it. I think you submit podcast whips in a podcast. Guinness
How
World
many
Record of
whips?
number of how many whip cracks
Whip cracks in
That's
one
a lot of tongue twisters.
podcast.
Yeah.
No.
There's a lot of podcasts.
No.
And a lot of people can do it. I'll have more people on just to get one.
I'll
if
just
this-
get in this tiny little apartment
this-
and crack this whip
Space is not big
really,
enough.
really, really, really loudly.
Could you safely, or would you break something?
I could safely with my smaller whips.
She could because she's very talented. But if you get a bunch of other people trying to do this,
If I got the guy with the longest whip in the, that's
Mm-hmm.
an issue.
Absolutely. That whip is longer than this entire apartment.
can I tell you a fun Renaissance Fair connection that we realized outside? Is
Please.
that my husband grew up in the town where the Renaissance Fair is and used to work there every summer picking up trash. So
I
look
love
at
my Trash
that.
Boys so much.
Well,
Shout out to
Isn't
Trash
that fun?
Boys.
That's very fun. My go-to opener, Liam Nelson. He came with us. He's been on the podcast before. He's 7 feet tall. Have you ever met Liam? And
He has the
used to
same
work.
disease that Abraham Lincoln had. The
Marfan's.
Marfan's, yeah.
He's worked at the Renaissance Fair.
It's the whole thing.
Whole face is all
The
fake.
whole body and the face.
Got it.
Well, there was a thing outside of yours because yours is called Tiny Girl Big Show.
Yes.
And there's like a height thing.
Yes.
And 7 feet tall was the tallest, and he was there.
I
Ah.
don't think I've ever seen with my own eyes somebody that tall stand next to that sign. So I have a sign by my stage, which is a life-size drawing of me holding a scroll that goes up really, really, really tall because I'm 5 feet.
Is it a Torah?
It,
holding a
you know, it kind of looks like a Torah scroll, and it has little height markers on it, so you can see if you're taller than the tiny girl.
And each one is like tiny, still tiny. cutesy tiny,
average
and then
tiny,
the 7 foot is like out
out
of
of
this
this
world.
And how tall are you?
5 feet.
Okay.
5 feet.
Tiny.
5 feet 3 inches with these shoes. Hey.
So I want to go to the beginning of how you got into this because I think was fascinating with all these art forms. It feels stand-up. We were all part of the same. Go back to vaudeville days, back to like freak show days, or if you go to any of these things, like we had a wrestler on recently, an independent wrestler, and it feels like all these like things, like they were touring people, and the tall man became the giant in the wrestler, or became the Renaissance Fair, and it's just like they all evolved from this same point. I mean, stand-up too. I mean, stand-up. If you go back, when back it was in the like a mafia thing.
Oh yeah.
And
they were like, "Hey, just so you know, like this is underground. You can't post clips."
And you had to be careful where it's like you had to be a good roaster if you were going to roast the boss.
Yeah.
You had to do it in a fun way, or they would kill you.
And you have to know what his fun way is.
Yeah.
They heckle with guns.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
pop, pop.
They're like, she better be funny. Pop, pop.
There you go.
There you go.
Please,
So
they wouldn't let you in the room. I imagine it was
not.
just like all dudes.
Oh yeah.
All dudes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, how did you get started? Were you a theater kid? I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
But your parents,
gave
were
it
they
away.
part of the circus?
My parents are magicians, so I grew up in
How cool is that?
that world. But they were very corporate magicians. They work mostly for like larger companies for trade shows and things. So it's less like sawing a woman in half and a little more business side.
They make your debt disappear.
And so when you were growing up, having parents as magicians, did that demystify magic for you? Were you, like if you saw magic at a party, were you just like, okay?
I mean, maybe, probably. I was kind of like a little
Little
know-it-all,
snob.
like snobby 6-year-old.
Did they
for
like
sure.
show
I was,
you
like, very
tricks?
only child.
There's nothing more fun than quarter behind the ear to a little kid.
Absolutely, and I think
And then that kid calling
that
you
was
a
a big
hack.
part of it, right? Yeah, I did grow up surrounded by tricks, but I also grew up surrounded by listening to my dad on the phone pitching himself actively. You know,
What
and
was his pitch like?
running. He works a lot for corporate companies at trade shows, so he will take their corporate message, turn it into a routine with magic.
Give me an example. How does this work?
So he works for ExxonMobil and HP. Like those are
Great.
two of his clients. So he'll be like on the trade show floor dressed in their polos. He looks like an employee. He doesn't, no sparklies, nothing like magic he gives away. And he's at the front of their booth bringing traffic into the booth with small close-up magic things. And then he'll use the company message. So he'll say like, with ExxonMobil, we can multiply your profits as he makes coins appear, you know, with the use of this new oil technology and V8 blah blah blah. And the
What do you say? With my mind, I'll make the climate a little bit hotter gradually until we're all dead.
I was gonna say, I'll take your water and turn it into oil.
So it's a lot of generating leads for companies. So I grew up with them in the house.
Did they start, like when they started, I mean, God, it goes, now it's so different. You could go to, you'll be able to major in magic, I'm sure, in some colleges now. But when they started, were they like, were their parents in the performance arts? How did both of them get into magic?
My dad was a early childhood education major, and he taught kids in school for a long time. That's what he went to school for. Magic was always a hobby that he did growing up as a kid, and then at some point he realized he could make more money doing children's birthday parties than he could teaching.
Wow.
So he switched and used a lot of his early childhood education skills in his childhood magic show for kids. Did that for a decade or so, and then developed a touring show. He needed an assistant, and he casted my mom. She was a dancer and a musical theater professional. So
In New York?
no, this is all in Chicago.
And so did she audition?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like
And
a really
he's like,
cute
he's
story.
like, also, you're
Right.
going to be my wife eventually.
Pretty much. I think, I mean, over
I mean,
like
you
a year or
literally
two.
are auditioning your wife.
Yeah. It was really cute. It's a really cute story to look back on. And the pictures are adorable, especially when they're like first touring together before they like really got together. But you know, something was going on.
I want to know what
It's
the
great.
casting, like what his, like, here's what I'm looking for. Between 5'2", 5'8".
Good-
He's
yeah.
literally,
I mean, she's like 5 feet 2. She's like my size, so it was definitely a little
Sure.
smaller. But she had a great theater background, and that's really what he was looking for, because it was more of a show than just like her being just a pretty girl. There was like a full storyline. So they toured this children's magic show for a while. They got married. They had me. And I never really wanted to go into magic growing up, even though I was very exposed to it. And It's for many reasons. That's a whole other podcast.
What is it? Tell me.
It's a misogynistic art form. It is very troubled in terms of women being able to be magician center stage. And I found circus.
Can you imagine something like that?
As
having that be your
not
profession?
that. Yeah, it was
Having
really
magic be your profession?
No, to have to like work in a misogynistic art form.
right. I know, like
It's
comedy
a stretch.
isn't that
it's
much
for
better.
sure a stretch.
But I found circus as this like other world where it's not about who you are, it's about what you can do.
And did you find out about circus through them, or you went to a camp?
Yeah, there's essentially like a youth program. I did gymnastics a little bit, but I hated competing.
Okay.
I hated being judged. I hated being told that I lost because some other girl had longer legs than me. Like, that's dumb.
Were you talented at gymnastics at a young age?
Yeah, I wasn't.
You must have been.
Sure. I wasn't like particularly the best. I had more showmanship than I had technical skill.
Sure.
And I kind of have always been that way too.
You're
Like,
doing the floor routine. They're like, put the fire out. Why do you have fire here? That's not part of
Get
this.
the ribbon dancing, and you're like, I actually brought a whip.
You're right.
I'm
You're
gonna
like,
do it with
"Hi."
this instead."
Did you do gymnastics?
No,
I never did. It's my biggest regret. Just to be able to like
That's your biggest regret.
many regrets. But I'm so mad, and I was not an athletic kid. I would have fought my parents tooth and nail, but I wish they had maybe do gymnastics, because my friends who could do a backflip, who could do a handstand easily, and they could just do it forever because
Yeah.
they learned when they were 8. That's so cool.
I still can't do a cartwheel. I did maybe like 6 weeks of ballet, if I even made it that long, when I was 5. And I was just like, I think I'm out. I can't do any of
Yeah.
this. I'm really clumsy. My parents put me in swimming because if you fall, there's just like not really gravity. It's fine.
My dad let me quit the swimming team because I said the pool was too cold.
Oh,
That's bad.
sweet.
It's bad.
sensitive boy.
Bad dad. Bad dad.
I just didn't like anything where I had to compete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I wanted
That makes
approval,
sense.
and I still do. I was always looking for like just people to tell me I was great
Yeah.
after I practiced for like 3 years on something, you know.
So what was the first circus thing? Was it a camp? Was it a summer?
Yeah, it was the Actors Gymnasium in Evanston, Illinois.
Wow, where
Which
Northwestern
is
is.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a cherub. There was a musical theater camp
Oh,
at Northwestern.
great.
You were
Yeah.
a cherub?
They were called cherubs. There were
Yeah.
150 people at the camp, and we were all very close.
I like feel like I remember that as being.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of theater
Did you
kids
grow
went
up in
through that.
Chicago?
No, I just went to that camp for
Oh, okay.
7 weeks or whatever.
Amazing. Well, yeah, they had a great program. I definitely wanted to go to Northwestern for theater if I went to college, but I didn't. I went to circus school instead. So I
What
did.
was circus school like?
I did Actors Gym, and then I auditioned for circus schools, and I went to circus school.
How is circus school? Is it a 4-year program?
I did a few different programs. There are many different types of programs all over the country and world. So it's not like a 4-year degree that's kind of consistent throughout. I did a year at the Clown Conservatory in San Francisco at the San Francisco Circus Center. Sadly, that program doesn't exist anymore, but it was exquisite.
What happened?
I think the school just lost funding, and I think there's just
Why
issues.
haven't they made a movie
That
about
school has
circus
been
school
issues.
yet?
They have. There's
They
a
have?
few. Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a reality show, maybe on Disney Channel when I was a kid, about a youth circus. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like kids would audition.
Yeah, I mean,
they would-
that's
and they would
essentially
tour.
what. Oh, it was about Smirkus. It was about Circus Smirkus.
Maybe.
Yeah, Circus Smirkus is an incredible program as well, and it's right. So it's a touring youth circus program, and it's coached and overseen by professional circus artists. It's really, really great.
It's called Circus Smirkus.
Circus Smirkus. You can look it up.
Is a Smirkus stand for anything, or is it just fun?
I think it's just fun.
It's so fun that
After you went to university, I go to university.
I know I love the really silly names and then being like it's a really prestigious program.
It is.
Circus Smirkus.
So then I spent some time at École Nationale de Cirque, which is the national circus school in Montreal as well. And I did 5 summers there. And I wanted to go to their pro program, their like 4-year or 3-year training program. And I auditioned twice. And I didn't get in both times. And that was a very motivating thing for me because it's the Harvard of circus schools where their acceptance rate is like 9%. Mm-hmm. And
is legacy a big problem?
yeah, specifically the fact that I wanted to go in for clowning, and like I'm a funny, right? Like I'm a funny person. I'm not classically trained ballet. Like I'm not going to be able to pass the dance audition next to somebody who is. Like you can look at me and be like, that knee is not straight, you know? And that's what, like, cut me.
But so you're auditioning, like, is the audition just clowning, and it's whatever that means? Or are you like acrobatic clowning? Like, are there different distinctions?
There are different distinctions. The audition process is not suited for clowning at all, which is part of the problem.
What about, like, what are the clown schools, like Le Coq?
Yeah,
that's a
Lecoq
big
is
one?
an incredible.
Lecoq? Do you know
My
that's a French one?
ex-partner
no
went to
idea what that
Lecoq did the full 3-year program.
Now, when
there.
it's in French, it sounds like it's fancy, but for all we know, in French, it's Circus Mercus.
Yeah.
It's just it's Jacques Lecoq is the name of the
Jacques
man
Lecoq.
that created
That was
the
his
school.
name, or that
Yeah,
was his stage name?
His first name was Jacques, and his last name was Lecoq. L-A-C-O-Q.
crazy.
Come on.
It's
Come
on.
It's
Come
not
on.
okay. It's just another language, guys.
So okay, so you didn't get in 2 years. So
Yeah.
what did you do in your did you do clowning in the audition? And they said no. Like, are you competing against a tightrope walker and a juggler? And
yes. So it's I don't know if you've ever seen videos of like large dance call auditions where everyone has a number and everyone has to do exactly the same thing, and then they cut rounds. It's like that, but it's a 3-day long process.
Oh, wow. And so do you kind of have to know a little bit about each?
So there's a dance day, there's an acrobatic day, there's a physical strength test day, where literally I'm just like standing next to a dude who's 8 times my size trying to do as many pull-ups as he can, right? So they're just testing you on all these individual skills to see if you could even handle the intensity that the school is. So I'm physically competing with an aerialist, even though I have zero intentions of ever being an aerialist.
Yeah, I often find myself competing against Leah Okay.
But I guess I'm curious. Like, I saw Little Shop of Horrors last night. I've been seeing more musical theater recently, and I think about how musical theater college has become like so many different musical theater degrees.
Yeah.
And the way that it makes everyone is good,
Yeah.
but they're all like good at they're dancers, singers, and actors. So suddenly the actor suddenly also like moves perfectly in a way that I think takes away some of the fringe and the individuality, and the singing is all perfect. And like with circus school, do these things end up creating kind of like a cookie cutter thing of you got to be good at everything in order to get in?
No, I think there's definitely a certain level of that for the audition, because they want kids who can physically handle the intensity of the school. You just need to be a certain level of fit, because if you're not, you're going to get injured really fast. But once you're in there, they're producing very individualized people.
Got it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's like you have to be well-rounded to get in.
Right.
It's like med school. Like you have to like do everything and then you pick your specialty.
Exactly. And sometimes they pick the specialty for you as well. They're like, oh no, we look at your body type. We think you should be doing this instead. And you can either say, yes, okay, I'll do that, or no, I'm not going to go.
So when you didn't get in, how devastated are you?
Oh my God, I was a mess.
Is it normal to okay, so you didn't get in.
I was a mess both times.
And what was your thought process? Like, where were you?
I am very spite motivated.
Me too.
Right?
Me too.
Yeah, you tell me no, and I'm like, watch me, let's go. So that really rocketed me into being like, all right, well, I'm going to do this anyway. Like, fine, if I am not going to go to your high-level prestigious circus school, I'm going to build my own show. Like, I'm still going to be a circus artist. I'm just going to do it my way then. Like, So that's essentially what happened.
In terms of employment, like if you want to be in Cirque du Soleil, do you have to go to one of those schools?
You are way more likely to get in Cirque du Soleil if you have
it.
that.
Like,
I mean, literally, that school is across the street from Cirque du Soleil headquarters.
Okay.
Sure.
Just for proximity. Like, you look out the windows, and that's what you see.
It's like how you have to go to Harvard
Yeah.
to like get on SNL or The Simpsons.
It's very funneled. And it's also, I know Cirque is throwing money at that school so
Of
they
course.
can get
Yeah.
cycle. But to be honest, I'm not built to do a super high level 3-minute act 10 times a week. Like, that's not where I have no creative control and I have zero ability to interact with the audience after a show. Where what I'm doing now is completely on the other side of it. And I have friends that went to the school that now work in Cirque full time and have for a very long time, very close friends, and we've watched each other grow and create our careers through this. And it's so great because they're super supportive of me and I'm super supportive of them. But I still look at what they do and I'm like, hell no, that is not, I don't want that for my own creative abilities. I would feel stifled.
When did the stand-up element come into it for you?
I've always loved talking on stage. My ex-partner is a very good joke writer. And he did stand-up and he did a lot of improv comedy.
In Chicago?
No, in Boston and a lot of other places where he was traveling previously. He did like improv Olympics and comedy sports and things like that.
Yeah.
And when I met him, he taught me structure. Mm-hmm. He taught me formula. He taught me beats and rhythms in a way that I didn't really know before. I did theater, so I knew how to deliver a line.
Sure.
But I didn't understand the science of joke writing.
Yeah.
And he's one of, like, and we still talk. We're still good. But he's one of the best people I know who can take any concept and, like, turn it into a joke very quickly.
Do you have any jokes from your double act? I know it never works off stage, but we're not going to go like, oh, okay. But like, do you remember like what kind of jokes would they be?
We had one joke. So he was Thunder and I was Star. His name is Etienne McKinley. To give credit where credit's due. If he's listening, hi, how are you? But we would have, like, we had a joke where we were standing next to each other, and I would like curl into him, and he'd go, Star, when you're close like this, I always feel a piercing in my heart. And I went, is it love? And he went, no, it's my pocket knife. And he'd like pull out, he had like a little knife that he'd pull out his chest.
I love it.
So there was a lot of that. Like he wrote a lot of like old radio show kind of back and forth humor.
Yeah. But this is also what I mean. I always talk about, I think it's sad in the stand-up world, we used to have duo acts.
Yeah.
Nichols and May and,
Right.
and George Carlin, I think, was the one once. But like, I'd love it.
I love
Now
it.
you have
love
to be an
to be in a
identical
comedy
twin.
club.
to
We had so
have a
much
duo
fun.
act.
Yeah.
And it was so
That's
much
true.
fun.
That's true. Only in stand-up, it's like, well, if you're twins, I guess it's cool.
Yeah, identical twins, men usually.
Whoa.
Male, I can think of like 3 identical twins.
What? I feel like I haven't
Male
seen
duos.
that.
Stand-up would be so much more. I would watch the show. Imagine if there was just more variety.
Yeah.
And the audience, I think, is not as used to variety. Like, I think it's tough to be a comedian on a sketch show or a sketch person on like a stand-up show. But there was a time when all these things were so much more blended, including props. Props kind of, Carrot Top got like mocked out of but like prop comedy is funny.
It's
I
great.
love-
It's funny.
That's
it's
how
variety.
I write
It's
a
a
lot
mix.
of my stuff too. Is like stuff. I like visual stuff, which gets me in trouble because I have too much stuff.
Yeah.
That's, oh gosh, what's the show? The keep talking. I
should do prop comedy, but the whole premise is I left my props at home, so I just need you to imagine what it is.
That's essentially what I do when I do a stand-up set. I like describe a unicycle and I describe clubs, and I'm like, so here's this, and it's funny. I make that in its own joke.
So you started, okay, so you don't get into the school,
Yeah.
you're upset,
Yeah.
and you go, I'm going to make my own thing.
Yeah. So I met my partner around that time as well when
Did
I
he
wasn't
not get
getting
into
in.
schools too? Like, were you a similar trajectory, or how did you?
No, he wasn't auditioning. He was at the we were both at training in San Francisco when we met.
Uh-huh.
I was in the clown program. He was just training at the school, like free training. You could just like kind of like going to a gym, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, you use the space and you go every day. So then we were like, let's write a show together and let's take what we can do individually and combine them.
You start dating first or writing the show first?
That kind of happened at the same time. It was all kind of a...
Was there part of you that was like, ugh, I'm just like my mom? Like we're just like me and my parents.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that was a big element of it. I think I feel super lucky and super privileged, recognizing the privilege that I have extremely supportive parents in the arts. I have parents who I'm like, hey, I want to go to circus school. And they're like, cool, good, do that. Like, here, how can we help you?
Sure.
And also, I have a very large tendency to develop crushes on people that I work with. Like working is a total love language for me.
Sure.
And I know that's definitely like modeled by my parents and watching them work together too and seeing their like very healthy relationship while also having a business together. And I'm like, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have developed over and over and over again.
Have your
business
parents'
and love
career been pretty steady? Have they been any like low points?
I mean, the 2008 financial crisis was like absolutely a problem.
Oh, sure.
A lot of companies weren't going to spend money on a magician when they were laying off, you know.
Was there ever a
tons
magic
of
bubble?
people.
Because when I was a kid, the magician. Do you remember the magician? He told all the secrets.
The masked magician?
The masked
Yeah, I
magician.
remember-
Oh, it's so
yeah.
cool. It was like
Yeah.
he made these videos where he like revealed how all the tricks were done.
Yeah.
And I'm still like learning from magicians gradually, like how big like what that was in their community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I feel like stand-up has booms and busts, and people talk about the 80s. I think it was the 80s. They talk about this stand-up thing where like you could be on the road every night, and everyone loved stand-up, and you were making money, and
Hand over fist.
But then they say we're in a bubble now. I don't know.
I think we're in a bubble now just without the money.
I think
Sure.
we're in a bubble of need for entertainment and need for entertainment that feels connected compared to screen-based entertainment.
Well, that's why I'm so excited.
I think
The
there's
whole
passive and active.
artificial intelligence debate, the whole artificial intelligence debate, I feel weirdly optimistic about live entertainment.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with TV and movie. I don't know if the computer can make a new episode of The Office and it
Right.
looks indistinguishable. But people see live entertainment because it might go wrong. And that's what's fun
Sure.
about it. What would you rather see, a robot that can like shoot a free throw 100% of the time, or a seal try?
Right.
We're the seals.
Yes, we are the
We're
seals.
safe. Yes, you can even do the sounds.
Love it.
Although I did see a stand-up comedian who decided to go up against ChatGPT in trying to roast
Oh, fuck.
somebody.
that's
They would do
funny.
like a ChatGPT or like an AI version of like Sarah Silverman. They would like program that and try to do a roast battle with that. Well, I mean, I think ChatGPT won, but I also think that I don't know this person, but I read some of the jokes. I think it might be a little different for other comedians.
Oh, sure,
Okay.
sure. We didn't send our finest to the ChatGPT battle. That's very funny. So talk to me about the industry a little. Is it
Like the variety
where
arts
did the money start coming? Because I came from a similar background. I had parents
Yeah.
helping me out, and that certainly helped
Yeah.
in those early years. But like, where you developed the show, and then what, you pitched it to people? You put it a run somewhere?
Yeah, so he previously did Renaissance fairs. Etienne worked
partner?
Renaissance fairs, solo, prior to us being together. So he had a lot of connections through the Renaissance fair industry. So he repitched our duo show. We were quickly working Renaissance fairs, and then got signed with a cruise ship agent and worked on cruises as
Ah.
well. So within our second year, we were full-time working.
What pays better in general, cruise ships or Renaissance fairs?
That's so. It is surprisingly difficult to answer. Some Renaissance fairs are fantastic, and some of them are smaller. So
What's
it
the
depends.
big? Is the big money like? Ooh, IBM made a commercial with a unicycle.
Sure. I mean, if I've done like single off gigs like that, or like a crazy corporate event where I like got paid a stupid amount of money to do 30 seconds of contortion on their like their big, banquet hall, 2,000 people like arena stage.
And are those?
But that's not my primary. I don't like doing that.
Of course.
It's not fun. It's extremely high pressure. It's super vanilla and weird. I am poorly communicated with the entire time.
Right.
And I have zero creative freedom.
Are people who, like at the corporate events who watch you, are they paying attention? Do they come afterwards? Are they like, that was amazing?
Absolutely.
Because for us, when we do corporate gigs, it's almost always terrible.
Yeah.
The money is great, but afterward, I mean, nobody's listening to you. You're going after some guy who just did some motivational speech about getting over cancer.
They want it to be dirty, but you're not allowed to be dirty.
Right. Yes. That's it's a whole topic. I hate
But as an actor, I did when I was the General Electric spokesman. This is like right before stand up, and I got to do some corporate gigs as the guy. And that's the one, like, they flew me to Vegas, and I just had to go on stage. There was a hammer in the commercial, and I pick up the hammer. I'm like, I can pick up the hammer. And then I leave, and they gave me $15,000.
Right.
$15,000.
And you're like, I did fucking nothing. And they just have the money. And the thing that I feel like is always weird is like a lot of these corporate events their budgets are, if not $1 million, close to it. And they're oftentimes like charitable organizations or some sort of like center city situation. And I'm like, what if you gave all of that money to like people who needed it instead of this like dinner?
Of course.
Right? Like, I don't know. I just like look
Every
at this
time
and I'm
someone
like,
hands
this
me a
is
check,
weird.
I say, isn't there someone
For the
else
needy.
this
Give it to the
could go
needy.
I mean, I'll take it, but like in general, do we
Sure.
need
Yeah,
to
of
be
course.
doing a 3-course meal? I don't know. This is just my like personal event organizer.
I have a
brain.
friend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's new for me. I don't know if I can say who it is, but he did a State Farm musical. And like they went to Vegas and got insane money and a musical promoting State Farm the same way your dad
Wow.
with Exxon. And I did a gig where ExxonMobil was the sponsor, so
Have you ever seen Bathtubs Over Broadway?
I have.
No.
I have. Oh, you got to see it.
you gotta
What is
see
it?
It's corporate musicals.
It's 2 for 1 week for Broadway. I'll go see something.
It's a movie.
oh, okay.
It's
Never
a
mind.
documentary. This guy, he collects the records from corporate musicals. Used to be a bigger thing. And they would put on musicals written by the top composers of the day, and they'd get their big paycheck writing about baths or about, and this guy he worked on, was it David Letterman? He was David Letterman's head writer or whatever, and he's really into these things. So he collects all the records, and it just shows.
There's just like massive productions made that were only performed once. Like they would train a cast of 30 dancers and singers to perform this one musical with all of these inside references of a company, and they would perform it once for the employees of that company.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
it's such a beautiful, weird piece of theatrical like happenings.
That's
That doesn't happen
what
anymore.
a great way too for all those people to make money.
Right.
Like there's I do really wish there was more of that. Like cuz I think now we're at a point there used to be so much shame around selling out as an artist, and now I think it's changed. I think all these influencers have changed the game where it's like make money however you can,
Yeah.
and if that's what subsidizes the things that you actually want to do, we all understand. We
do.
all get it.
Get that bag. That's what they
Get
say.
the bag.
On TikTok, if you do some weird corporate branded thing, they're like, get that bag in the comments.
Weird.
Was it, so you're doing this acrobatic show with your partner at the time, for like 4 shows a day, like what I saw?
Yep.
4 shows a day?
Yeah, 45-minute shows, 4 shows a day, 2 days a week. So you haul ass for 48 hours, and then you get to chill for 5 days.
Still, I
It's
mean,
a
my
nuts
goodness.
schedule. I love it. It's weird. I love it. But it's like running a marathon and then like resting, which is I'd much rather do than every night.
What's the best show? Because like for stand up,
Out of
if you do a weekend, if you do, it's usually 1 show Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. I usually find that the first show Saturday is the best show. Is there
And Friday late night is notoriously known as the one that could be the disastrous
Yes,
one.
because people went to happy hour. They went to
Yeah.
work, then they went to happy hour, then they went to a bar, and then they came to the comedy club.
Yeah.
Is there that for the 4 shows in 2 days? Is
I
there-
often find that my second show of the day is usually my best.
okay.
What time is that one?
It's usually at my current contract it's 1:30, but it's usually somewhere between noon and 2.
Yeah.
And it's when like the first show of the day is usually a little lighter. People are just arriving. They just sat in their car to park. They just got through the gate. But by the second show of the day, most people have either gotten some sort of food or drink, so their blood sugar is like right. They have walked around a little bit. Maybe they saw 1 show, but they definitely haven't seen 2 shows before they saw me. They still have money in their wallet to give me. They haven't like spent it all on food yet and other stuff. And they're still fresh. They're not like tired.
Yeah.
And usually that's when second or third show is the best energy.
Do you pass around like a bucket afterwards?
Yes. So at Renaissance fairs, or most of them, it's a tip-based situation.
What's better, what the Renaissance giving you, or what you get from the tips? Okay. So yeah.
I get it. Sometimes
Short answer is it depends on the fair.
Sure.
But, I love the New York Renaissance Fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
Short
I'm
answer.
just curious if it's like a tip-based job.
Right.
It is.
You know,
It's absolutely a tip-based
stand-up
job.
in
Yes.
a way, like
Yes.
I remember Lucas Connolly and I did a shit gig once, and at the end he said, "I'll have my hat out.
Yeah.
You can just give me money." And now we do this thing with merch, where sometimes I saw my merch, I'm
Sometimes the
like,
merch
guys,
is
what if we
so
got
much
rid of
better.
this weird fucking game where you bought something you didn't want and you just gave me money directly?
people
Yeah.
want a cum towel. What are you
No,
talking
they
about?
don't.
You sell
They-
cum towels?
I sell cum towels.
I want one.
Sure, I'll give
absolutely
you one.
want
I got a
one.
lot.
$20.
Done.
And but it gets to
You
a
still
point.
sell them for 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
So honestly,
I don't
You
wanna
sell
argue.
towels for $20. I love it.
Yeah, you could sell. I used to be 10, and then in Vegas, she was like, "Kid,
Yeah,
kid,
kid,
sell them for 20."
kid.
I sell koozies for 10.
Yeah.
I sell my hair flowers for 15, but people give me 20 and say keep the 5.
Yes, I sell my stickers, pay whatever you want, and then sometimes
Love
people
that.
just hand me a 20 for a
But I'm about to go to shirts, and there is just a degree of like, just give me money. You want to do something, just give me
Yeah,
money.
and the Renaissance fairs there's the culture of that. Most of them. There are a few fairs that are they're referred to as non-hat fairs, so there's no tipping at all, where we're just paid by the festival, and there's
That must be annoying.
no. I mean, they pay us more.
They
Yeah,
pay
you're just
more.
guaranteed.
Yeah, they pay me what I want to be paid, and I do not ask for tips.
Sure.
And that's it. And that's nice because if it rains and nobody shows up, I still get paid a lot.
Yeah, baby.
Where if it rains, like this weekend's calling for rain, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
because if it rains a lot, I still get my day rate. There is a day rate
Yeah.
that is, what the festival takes care of me about. But it is a tip-based job for sure.
Any chaotic show stories, whether it was when you were with your partner or solo?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I mean, oh buddy, when we're working around for everything happens. Everything happens. People are throwing up. Kids are screaming. My partner ripped his pants on stage once in the middle of a trick, like straight down the middle. It's great. So funny.
Le coq out?
Underwear
Jacques
was
Lecoq
worn.
out?
Oh, I really hope he's listening. He'd appreciate that joke. No, he was wearing underwear, but it was hilarious.
You do a bit. There's 2 bits on stage that I saw that were big crowd work interactions. First, you brought a little girl on stage.
Yeah, it's a new bit.
And it was this beautiful bit.
Thank you.
But I imagine sometimes the kid she was nervous. And she was adorable.
She was
But like she was nervous.
She
as
was
fuck.
nervous. And
How
I
old
think
was she? Age range?
she's 10-ish.
Okay.
But she also seemed, and this happens sometimes where a kid gets really excited. They shoot their hand up. They want to be on stage. They get up on stage. Then they look out into the crowd and they see 400 people. And they go, because they were sitting in the front row where you don't see anybody behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
And they like shut down. And then it's my job to open them up over the next 3 minutes. And I was trying with her, but she was scared.
She was scared.
She seemed a little like closed.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they ever cry? Have you ever seen a kid cry while they were on stage? And you said, "Uh-oh."
No child has cried on stage with me.
They peed?
I have not personally experienced this, but my dad has some great stories of kids peeing on stage. They get nervous and
Yeah,
then
it's
they
scary.
pee. I try not to pick kids who are young enough where that would happen. My ideal age range for that bit specifically is between 9 and 15. I ideally want a kid who's like 13 and taller than me.
Uh-huh.
Because then it's funny when I ask their age, and I just do this, and it gets a laugh.
Right, right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So that's like perfect. And then I do this whole thing about becoming a teenager and how it's terrifying and what you should do with your emotions.
Drugs.
Your show did have it did, and I feel like you must have learned over the years like how to walk this line, but it had some dirty jokes.
Yeah.
It was like kids could enjoy, but there were some dirty jokes. There was a lot of polyamory jokes in there, and it's just fascinating because you're playing to this wide range
Yeah.
of people.
It's a hard thing.
Renaissance fairs are so challenging and fun as a comedian because you have your family of 4. You have your emo goth queer poly couple. You have grandma and grandpa Jewish, like Orthodox Jewish, especially in this area.
Yeah.
You have like bachelorette party, and they're all at your show, and you have to make them all laugh for 45 minutes. And it is shooting a very wide net. And so the Ren Fair gives you a little bit of like, there's a bawdiness to it where you're allowed to like play on that line. Double entendra's great. They love it when you can like make a sex joke that also doesn't, you're not referencing penetration.
Right.
You know, you're making some sort of like undertoned thing. And for me, it comes back to being character based.
What was the dirtiest one you told? There was something about like shaving or like with a whip or the fire, something.
I juggle knives, I throw one under my leg, and I say shaving something else. So I'm referring
that's perfect.
to right. And then I catch it and people laugh and I go, my legs. But I wasn't referring to my legs.
No, this is like 90s Nickelodeon.
Yes. So when I wrote the show, a lot of what I modeled a lot of character work based on was cartoon villains. Female Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network cartoon villains. Because they're cute. They're not sexy, but they're almost sexy, kind of. Like they're in like these like you know what I mean? Like there's this line where they get to play within that. So like I make a joke about like my fire torches, and I built my own fire torches myself out of barbecue sticks and my sister's hamsters, which is like referring to like burning pets.
Yeah.
Which is like horrific, but that's like Nickelodeon level funny.
Yeah.
But they keep going. It goes more. Then you go
I say, oh no, I would never do that. They were guinea pigs.
Very good.
So I
little
just, like-
misdirection.
Or fat for the fuel or something.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
they
it gets
burn a little
dark.
longer. It gets dark.
Yeah, but that's like
Yeah.
This little girl started crying. She said, I just lost my hamster to a fire.
Oh right. Oh, were you at that show?
I was at that show.
That was really.
Did that really
it was-
happen?
She said, Oh no, this was in Chicago. What are you?
No, I was
There
just
was a-
lying. But this was a real story? I was lying. What's the real story? What happened?
Oh God! I was doing this joke and about the guinea pig and the hamster, and this was in Chicago, and there's this little girl in the front row who goes. She like just starts talking, right? She just like has like she's like 7 or something. She just has like free verbiage, and she's like, my best friend put my I think it was like put my hamster in the toilet and then it didn't come out. Like she just gave me this very graphic, loud story about her friend who drowned her pet, and it was the entire it was loud enough for everyone to hear, and this kid was like adamant, like she was telling the truth.
what did you do with that?
I think
Or what would you do with that now?
I was like shocked and amused because it was funny, but horrible. But I was so shocked and amused that I obviously stopped what I was doing to the point where I had to notify the audience about what was happening because it was still a big crowd. So even though the people around her could hear, everybody couldn't hear. So you do that thing where you repeat what the audience member says so everyone can hear.
Which also buys you a little time.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I repeated it back to her with a question. I was like, your best friend flushed her hamster down the toilet? And that got a laugh, you know? So like, I just like leaned into it. And that's, I think, part of what I love what I do so much is that I have creative control. And I have
Sure.
free reign. And I can take the show and go whoop, and like derail it to this other place.
What would you have done? What would you have done? You're at Gotham. It's a Memorial Day show.
And some adult is like, I just killed my pet.
If they had said it in that way, if my friend flushed my hamster down the toilet, I probably would have said something along the lines of like, I've also taken some pretty crazy poops.
That's
what I
good.
would have
That's
gone.
If I'm
great.
being honest, what I would have done, I don't think this is good, like in the moment, but I would have been like, if you interrupt my joke again, I'll flush you down the toilet. That's just immediately where my mind goes. I used to have an episode. I used to be on episode. I was on episode Law and Order SVU, and a little kid went, "What episode?" And I said the one where the comedian murdered the little boy for interrupting his joke. And that was one of the best I had.
That's good.
I love it.
Oh, if I'd
Very
only
good.
filmed my sets back then. And then you have another bit, which I feel like there must have been. You bring a grown man onto the stage.
Sometimes a woman too.
Oh, this one was a big man, and you gave him links, metal chains, and said tie them around my wrist.
Yeah, I get chained with my wrists behind my back, and then I do a fire.
What if they do it too hard? Because you tell them, you say, do it tight. Has any guy you've ever been like, hey, chill the fuck out?
Yeah, I've had a few people who get too excited. Part of my job, though, is picking somebody who I feel like is competent enough to listen to my directions and
doesn't like
not
actively
be
have a
stupid.
boner when you ask.
Right. I'm watching people throughout my show, and I am thinking about who I'm going to pick throughout my whole show. And I can tell I can tell by their body language, by how they laugh at my jokes.
Sure.
If they're like fucked up, I'm not going to pick them.
Right.
And most of the time, I bring them up there. We have an interaction. I am taking temperature the entire time of their energy. And the way I do the rap, too, I chain myself first to one wrist. So I link myself up first. I have them hold the other side. I put my hands behind my back. And then I tell them to wrap the chain around both of my wrists. So my wrists are already together. And they're burritoing it.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
So they can't really hurt me. I did have a guy once. I got completely chained up, and he picked me up. He was this very large dude, and he scooped me up like a baby right after he did it. And I felt the audience loved it. They thought it was hilarious. The dude was sober, but he was just excited. But that was the first time that I felt completely out of control on stage, and I did not like it.
Did you try to like? Was there a moment of like in character, like put me down, or were you like put me down right now?
It was somewhere in between.
Yeah,
I think it was fun. I heard that the audience thought it was funny. I felt safe in his arms physically, like he was large and had me. He wasn't going to drop me on my head.
Yeah,
but I didn't have my arms available to me
or your feet.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't like it. So he picked me up, and I was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Okay, put me down now, which he did promptly. And then I was like, and big round of applause for this guy. Get off stage. I was like, and we're done, you know.
I just can't imagine.
So,
I mean, it had to be someone who's socially just unaware.
I think he's just excited.
I mean, it killed. What do you
I'd get excited in my life before.
He was also huge. Like he looked like a pro wrestler. Like he was so big.
He was probably so excited to pick you up. Like you're tiny and he's huge, and he's on stage.
And that's something that does happen a lot. I do get lifted, or I get asked.
Your Honor, she was tiny.
Lifted.
I picked.
Right. Yeah.
What do you want me to not pick her up? Gross. I hate it.
I do.
Injuries.
Oh.
Any big on stage mishaps?
On stage?
Or just general body wear and tear?
Big general body wear and tear. Oh, yes. It's a laundry list. On stage.
Do all contortionists hit an age where they go like, or do some
my least favorite question in the entire world.
Sure. Well, this is the down. But but is it like, do some contortionists, they're 80 and they're still doing it? Or is this something with a shelf life?
Since I was 9 years old, I have been asked this question.
Why? Because people are like...
Because people look at what they do at your body, and they're like, how long can you do that for? Which is a really weird thing to be asked when you're prepubescent.
Yeah, right? They're like, hey, what's your expiration date?
Right. And you're like, excuse me, this is something I love to do.
Well, my sister, part of the reason I do think about it is my sister's a dancer. My little sister's a dancer. And I only think about the expiration date of it only with... concern, and not just the regular parent like don't go into the arts, but I'm just like this business is so if there was a limit to me being able to just yell and complain on stage, I'd be concerned for me too.
What are you going to do when, like, at some point you'll get arthritis probably and you can't do 90-degree angles anymore?
Oh my God, I love your 90-degree angles so much.
How do you think that's going to affect
I'll have to hire someone to write better jokes, that's for damn sure, when I can't do all that moving around.
I was thinking of, like, doing a few when you were in the audience. I was so close.
Oh my God, if you did,
I was
that would
so
be
close.
so funny.
I didn't want to, I didn't know you that well, so I didn't want to, like, I don't know. I wasn't sure how well that would go.
Do you do, like, impressions of other people's mannerisms? Like, can you sort of embody that?
I have different physical modes that I can slip into. I wouldn't consider them impressions per se. Like, I'm not like, oh, this is this guy.
Uh-huh.
But I have different, like, physical flavors that can happen on stage, absolutely, as part of the physicality of it. But to answer your original question, yes, there will be a time when I'm not going to be able to do everything that I can do. I haven't gotten more flexible since I was like 16. I've gotten significantly stronger.
Sure.
I'm 28 for reference. And
That was so brave.
and that'll go into my downside thing for a second too. But I do contortion archery where I press up into a handstand with my butt over my head and I shoot a bow and arrow with my toes. And that's
Cool.
the hardest.
That's your
My
closer.
closer.
It's your closer. Hey heckler, watch
Imagine
this.
at the end of a fully regular set, if you said,
I don't move at all on stage. Also, for reference, like very little. It'd
and
be
then that guy
so
in the front
funny.
row goes like, "Damn, she is good."
It'd be so funny to just finish with that.
And you shot him right in the
Be
head.
like, oh, by the way.
By the by.
And it's the hardest thing I do, and it's the thing that's taken me the longest to learn. And I'm currently injured, and I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time I've had an injury for more than a few weeks that's taken a large element out of my show for like, it's been 6 weeks, and I probably have at least 3 more weeks until I can get really back into it. And that sucks, man.
Yeah.
But I also imagine it's like, yeah, there will come a time where there are certain tricks, things that you can't do, but you will evolve and
Yes.
figure out what else you can do.
So in this 6 weeks, I've written 20 more minutes of material.
Right. It'll
Like,
just
I brought
change.
that kid bit in. I have this
Yeah.
new other rhyme thing that I do. Like, I write more. And I love comedy. I love hosting. I love other physical tricks. The unicycle is significantly easier on my body. So there's other things that
You
I
go to
can
a special
get better
doctor?
at.
Because I imagine if you went to a regular doctor,
Yeah.
City
they
MD.
and if you went to City MD, they'd go, "Oh, don't do that anymore.
Right.
Don't shoot arrows with your hands." And you go, "City MD, you dumb motherfuckers! How hard is it to send a
horrible
prescription to
man.
Dwayne Reed 2 blocks away?" But do you go to a special like sports therapist?
I have like a team of
full
people.
team.
And
Cool.
because I travel, I have people all across the country. So like I got a chiropractor here, I got a massage therapist in Chicago, I have
Wow.
a chiropractor in Florida, I get x-rays regularly. Like it's a lot.
Do you ever
And
do
it's extremely expensive.
the needles called?
Acupuncture? I
Acupuncture.
actually don't. I've never done acupuncture.
I was thinking Tempur-Pedic. and I knew that wasn't
That's
right.
a kind of mattress.
I knew it wasn't right, but that's this is look.
You ever do memory foam?
I will say, coming here today, this is the earliest I've left my apartment for not a flight in maybe 2 years.
I was up at 4:30 this morning.
I had to wake up at 9:15 to be here. So the words aren't coming.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Only for you,
job.
Leah.
Good job.
Chiropractor aren't some people skeptical about whether that's good?
Yes, which is really frustrating because some of them are really good and things are really helpful and I really need my work done. And then sometimes I go into a chiropractor I've never been to before and they try to sell me weight loss pills. And I'm like, that's not why I'm here. I am a professional acrobat. And they're like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, no. Like, and I show pictures. I have an album of my phone that is only x-rays and photos of me doing skills that is specifically for doctor visits. So I can be like, here, this is what I do all the time. Take me seriously. It is so frustrating because then I walk out of that office and they're like, here's a bill for $300 and they've done nothing. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Few bad apples.
So mad.
Bad apples. Let's go on to our next segment. Oh,
This has got to stop.
this has got to stop.
Gotta stop.
Leah, do you have something that's got to stop? I worry that did I say your name at the beginning fully? Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my God.
Welcome to Downside. I'm here with Leah Orleans.
Thanks for having me.
Orleans or Orleans?
Whatever.
It's a cool last name.
Thanks. It's
It is.
real.
I wore my New Orleans shirt just for you.
Oh my God, thanks.
What's your this got to stop? Feel free if you have more.
I have a
Eddie,
few.
Tell me, please.
I got a few. Number one is Google Maps needs an add tab option.
Google
Like
Maps.
if I'm like on the way somewhere and I want to look up directions for a whole different situation, I need to be able to add a tab
This is a very
love
good
it.
point. I know exactly what you mean.
And I can do another search for another set of directions while still getting directions for where I'm currently going. It pisses me off every time.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not trying to add a stop.
No.
This is for a different time. I'm just curious.
Or I need to be able to search like a restaurant for later and see options or
we need to compare distances between two different places.
Right.
And instead you got to take a fucking screenshot of this thing and you go to the screenshot.
Where's
I
the nearest
100%
strip?
agree.
Yeah.
That's a very good one.
That's brilliant.
every time. It makes me very angry. And then the other one was in general age shame. I hate it. I hate when people are like, "Oh, you look great for your age."
Yeah.
Oh, you look great for 40. Like aging will always happen. It's the most consistent, reliable thing that we have. We need to stop pretending like it's a bad thing.
I think another thing that happens a lot is because people are comparing age to what they've seen on TV, and nobody ever plays their age on TV shows. It's always a 30-year-old playing a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And you never, and then it's a 40-year-old playing a 60-year-old.
The amount of makeup and hair and lighting, and it's very
So
frustrating.
people have no concept of how old you are and how you look based on that age.
And the combination of being in the performing industry and then also teaching fitness and coaching and like helping people physically become their mental ideal of themselves. I would just watch people battle with that all the time, and it's so frustrating. And
I'm struggling.
I want it to stop.
I'm not proud. I turned 35 recently, and it is. I still feel. If you could see my blood pressure when I have to say that I'm 35, or like when the treadmill asks me, like, "How old are you?" You know, some of the treadmills ask you that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I hate it.
Really?
I hate
Can we
it.
unpack that for a second?
Oh,
Like, tell
I
me
mean, there's
why.
nothing to unpack. I'm going to die someday, and I'm not happy about it.
Okay, so it's mortality.
Unpacked. Suitcase fully open. Don't want to
Okay.
die.
But so it's not a vanity thing
Right.
for you.
Not
It's
no,
like
not
Which
impending
is
doom.
shocking.
what?
Knowing. I said, which is shocking. Knowing.
Well, Tova, when I was doing the taping for a thing, she was like, she said bravely, Tova said, "Do you want to dye
Do you want to
your
die?
beard? Do you want to dye your beard?"
Huh.
And I said, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And she was like, you know, she said, "It looks good. It looks good, but I'm just saying if you wanted to trick people into thinking you look good for your age," that's not what she said, but she brought that up, and I struggled with it. I'm not going to age gracefully, emotionally speaking.
Well, your brand is already like complaining. So when
Yes.
you put that onto somebody who gets older, you're going to become crotchety really fast, which could work for you.
I
could
love
work,
crotchety.
But it's like, and that's what I tell myself whenever I'm like, ooh, these are widow's peaks, right? Or is this a widow peak?
This is Widow's Peak.
What's these?
Receding hairline.
Oh God! Can we have a fun name? These are your girlfriend
they
wish she
have
was
a
a widow peak.
Yeah.
Whenever I feel ugly, I go like, good. Comedians aren't supposed to be good looking.
You're very good looking, first of all. I don't want to, I mean, like in a Jewish way, but like you're good looking.
But it's true. It is a
It's-
Jewish
it's
way.
not-
You know what I mean?
not-
Like it's
not
a,
accurate.
and I don't mean that as a dick. It's like a
No, it's
specific
true.
look.
It's a look. You got
Yeah,
it.
I think if I had
And
grown
you're up in
in like a Jew, like if I grew up in like Tova's community, I think I'd feel
Oh, you'd be a 10.
like a stud.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I used to go to Jew conventions as a kid, like when I
Yeah.
was a teenager. Did you go to those too?
They're called
went to, like-
concentration camps.
Stop it. Stop it.
No.
My goodness.
No. I went to like
But I would
Jewish
clean
camp.
up at
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
Jewish
for sure,
conventions.
I bet.
I would
Yeah.
clean up because
Yeah.
I have blue eyes, and that's a whole thing. There's like a lot of colorism in Judaism too that we
Yeah.
don't really talk about or address.
Really,
Yeah.
most of them are pale.
They're pale, but it's a lot of. I think Jews can idolize like blonde hair, blue eyes, and I think there's a lot of like you would have like when I was a kid, I was blonde and blue eyed, and I got told they were like you would have survived the Holocaust.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
How old were you
my
when that
Someone
was
said
said?
you would have
I was-
survived the Holocaust.
They would have been like, we could have hidden you pretty
No,
easily.
that's so awkward.
wow.
Mostly by like my extended family because
so
everybody in my
uncomfortable.
family is like darker. Yes, it's very. As a kid, I was just like, yeah, I guess I would have, and I was like
Fuck.
very proud of it. So there's
Absolutely
there's
not.
I've
that.
never heard that in my life. You have to talk about that on
Hard
stage.
no.
That's so.
That's really funny.
I
That's
have
good
to
stage
figure out how
material.
to talk about it. I'll figure it
that's
out.
funny.
But it's hard because the second you say Holocaust,
Right.
well, maybe not you. I feel like you say it a lot.
I
But
say it a lot. I say it way too many times.
It's interesting.
but so yes, the age thing is
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
And I think like the last thing that just irks me, and I don't know if you get this, but it drives me fucking insane. When people in my DMs from very like small, weird places in the world are like, come to my small town in northern Minnesota, DM me, like let me know when you're coming.
Yeah.
Like, tell me when you're coming to my place. And, like, my tour list is in my bio. My tour list is in my highlights. My tour list is on my website. All of these links are easily available through the platform that you are messaging me on.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to message you about it. Cost me thousands of dollars to go anywhere. I'm not.
It's just a deep misunderstanding about like, I'm like, if you think that I could respond to this or like arrange it around your schedule, you don't understand like how the world functions.
And I know this is like, they're a fan. I'm grateful for fans.
Right.
I thank you for being a fan. You know, joy, joy, joy. But like,
Well, that's what's nice about your business, at least with the Renaissance fairs, is it's like, Renaissance Fair, it's not close. It wasn't easy for me to get to.
No.
But it's like you go to a place and you have to make the journey. No one from New York City is coming to see me headline Tuxedo Park.
right.
That's
sure.
the difference.
Yeah.
Where like there is a fun thing of like, it's just these cities. You
Yeah.
got to make the trek to go. And it's a full day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big ask for people to go, for sure. Always. Whenever I come into a city or come to a Ren fair, the closest city nearby, whenever I have friends who are there, they're like, oh, we're going to come see you. And I'm like,
Are you?
okay.
But there is a model of like
I was wondering if that happened to you too.
Oh, all the time.
Steve Hofstetter will headline cities I've never even heard of existing.
Sure.
I bet you he's headlined Tuxedo Park. He's made a business out of it.
Yeah.
So I guess you can go to those places.
I mean, the small places do tend to have a better crowd because they're so grateful you're there.
Yeah, they need the entertainment.
Nobody in New York or Chicago cares that I'm there.
I still have the New York mentality. People say to me, "Thank you for coming here," and I say to them, "Thank you for coming to the show." And
Yeah.
they're like, "No, thank you." And I'm like, "You're right. Thank me. You drove. I flew."
We did an incredible show in
Piece of shit.
in Montana, this tiny town in Montana. We had to take 2 different flights, rent a car, and drive 6 hours to go to this university in Montana. And these people have never seen live entertainment
Yeah.
of this at all. Like,
Did they lose their fucking minds?
they didn't really know how to experience a show.
I want to see
But
that.
then
Just maybe
afterwards- Yeah, like it was. They
hitting
didn't
the wrong
really.
parts of their body. They don't even know what to
They
do.
don't really know how to clap. They didn't really. Yeah, and it was a university show, so we were paid to be there no matter what. We didn't have to sell tickets. But the university, there's 2 majors: farming or nursing. Either you're farming or you're fixing the farmers that hurt themselves farming.
Right.
That was the entire small place. And this was me and my ex-partner, and like you saw me when I work a lot of makeup, and I like look cute, and I'm like in this whole thing, and like I was wearing more makeup than that entire town has ever seen any woman wear. They were like they just didn't know how to react to any of it. It was exquisite.
People in that town look their age.
How many makeup wipes does it? Sorry, one
No, no,
question. How
please.
many makeup wipes do you have to use to take off your makeup?
It's a very specific system of chemicals. Especially my Renaissance Fair makeup routine has to survive an entire
4
day
shows.
of sweat, humidity, rain, snow, whatever, just horrible conditions of everything. So the primers that I use and the setting sprays that I use are really intense. So yes, I use some serious makeup removers onto wet wipes and then an exfoliating. It's a whole
okay.
thing. Yeah.
I just need
Yep.
to know.
Thank God I'm a man. Let's go to our next segment.
You better count your blessings.
once again, there's many ways that I do feel feminine, but like I could never do makeup. I couldn't do it in. There was makeup class, and I got out of it.
Have you ever considered nail polish? I think.
Well,
nail
I went through a
polish would look
goth
good on you.
phase. I went through a goth phase, and I love black nail polish. I can't like put it like I can barely get it in the lines.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm terrible.
I love it. I just feel like I would have to address it on stage in a way.
No, you don't.
Really?
Yeah. Especially these days.
You should just do it.
You should just.
I've always liked the one
want.
nail. I like a one nail.
It's like the pendulum.
Just don't do one nail black, because then it always just looks like it's bruised.
Okay.
Yes, accurate. Glitter nail.
Really? You think if I do it, that I leave the comics table, and Renan Hirschberg doesn't go, that fucking guy.
No. Everybody's gonna roast you for sure, in front of and behind your back. Absolutely. But you know what? They're
like
probably
it.
doing that anyway, and at least this way it's for your nail polish.
I was gonna buy a shirt the other day, and it was two wrestlers, like collegiate, like real wrestling, and Tova said, "I think that's too gay baiting," and I said, "This shirt, this is the line, this is too gay baiting." I was surprised. I didn't buy it.
The shirt. Oh, not the
No,
one.
not
you're
this one.
wearing.
It was two men, and she was like, "It looks like he's eating the other one's ass." I was like, "That's a backflip move."
Wrestling is so homoerotic.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't
It is.
know. And maybe it's just me, but I don't think it's just me.
No, it's not just you.
I've always said that's why some of these like football spaces, why they're so homophobic, is because the locker room is so homoerotic that if someone who actually like would fuck one of them walks in, he'd be like, "Wow, you guys are gay. You don't even realize you're spanking each other's asses. You're standing around naked, cocks out, showering next to each other."
Not just the locker room, though. The game itself is homoerotic. They're
course.
putting their heads and their crotch in somebody else's butt in front of them. They're
It's
grabbing each other. It's hot.
It is hot. I know. I
I
agree.
think football is gayer than gay sex. Even.
It's close. It's foreplay. We're getting there.
Ariel, do you have a blessing?
My blessing right now is cash. Is being able to pay for things in cash, because a lot of places they're moving away from it.
Ugh.
They're going to card only. I'm
it.
talking to you, the Van Leeuwen ice cream place. They don't take cash anymore. But yesterday I went to an estate sale and I bought a rug, and I'm very grateful I got to buy it in cash, because I think this rug might get me on some lists, because it is a rug that was made in Afghanistan that might be a Taliban rug. I'm not sure.
Ariel,
And I'm really grateful that there's no digital record of me buying that rug.
I mean,
Can I show it to Leah?
I thought
$5, by the way. $5 for that rug.
Whoa.
I texted my husband. I said, I got this rug. Or I didn't show him the picture. I just said, I got a rug that was made in Afghanistan at this estate sale. And he said, is it a Taliban rug? And I said,
Do I need to show this
It
to a
might
camera?
be.
I'm looking up. This is pictures from when they raided where they found Osama bin Laden. That was his bed sheet. That's very good.
so very grateful
Wow.
for cash.
I used to have all this cash, and now we're paying for Tova's getting her eggs frozen. We're paying the nurses who come and give the shots in cash, and now it's all gone.
I'm sorry.
Tova says, "Any more cash?"
We have a box of cash with our passports and any important documents
Oh.
and some jewelry
Yeah,
in case.
tell us all on this podcast where.
So I live in Queen. So I think we have, my husband and I are both Jewish. He's like the grandson of Holocaust survivors, the son of immigrants. And I think we have this thing in our head of like, if we ever need to bribe the guards,
Yeah.
this is the like some people are like, oh, for a fire, this is what you grab. And you're like, yeah, fire, whatever. It's for when the Nazis take over.
Yeah.
That's what the box is for.
No, that's what your blue eyes are for, Ariel.
That's what my blue eyes are for.
A little bit of bleach. You're Barbie, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
I will make. I guess I'll make my blessing. These two nurses that are helping Tova. We don't really interact. I just sit there. I'm very much, and I offer my hand for Tova when she gets the shots.
And then you offer your hand for the cash for the nurse.
Give her the cash. And thank God for these nurses. It is surreal because they come by and they're coming from like they were out shopping. So one came in like a tennis outfit. Like there's no, I'm a nurse.
They just show up with their expertise.
They just show up with their expertise, exactly, and they're wearing like this one keeps like Barbie outfits, like 8 different professions.
Cute.
Comes in and except for the nurse Barbie, none of that, and they do it so fast, and man, there's no way we could have done this on our own, no fucking way, and they just pump her with estrogen, and then they leave me with her.
Does she feel effects? Are there
I'm paying money for this.
Are there like?
Oh, are there effects? Someone told her, and I don't know if this is true. They said you're going through the trajectory of being pregnant, but like condensed.
Whoa.
Into.
That sounds awful.
I'd love to water it down.
Jesus.
I'd love to spread this out. No, she's doing fantastically. I'm so proud of her. And getting it done.
I don't even know what this process is.
It's so crazy in that I was never good at science. I was never good at biology. I don't have the memory for it. And you get to this age where it's a huge part of your life knowing these things. And I barely, Tova tested me the other day. Fallopian tube.
Good job.
Oh, I thought you meant emotionally. She tested you.
That's every day.
Fallopian tube, yes.
The eggs are in the
Eggs are in the.
And I just think the ovaries. Thank you. But it's just like they taught me this in 5th grade, and then they said, "Remember this for when you're 35."
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and to think that some people aren't even taught it at all.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people, and I think that might be one of my grateful moment bullet points is touring the country and seeing such a diverse. I grew up in my Chicago Jew bubble, and it wasn't until I really got on the road where I was like, oh shit. I had privileged education. People don't know the things that they need to know to be functioning adults.
Is the circus more is there more of a financial barrier than it used to be? I feel like the joke was you ran away and joined the circus.
Oh, sir. Yeah.
I feel like back in the day, circus was you came from the streets. Now is it a mix? Are there any circus
I think there's
people
all different kinds of people that
Jews?
join
Are
it.
there a lot of Jews doing the
She's right
flips?
here.
Well, I know, but
that's a good question. I don't know
I don't think a lot of Jews.
I don't think there's a ton of Jews in circus. Now that I think about it, but there are a few. I've got a few of them, but not very practicing religious-y. Definitely not. We're always working on Fridays and Saturdays. I don't know. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But it's a touring lifestyle, so it's difficult to maintain a synagogue that you go to or any sort of community outside of the community that you're traveling with most of the time. I think that Cirque du Soleil and other larger circus companies that offer things like healthcare. And you can bring your husband and your kids with you on tour and things like that, create a actually financially stable lifestyle for people. I think there is the problem of spending all of your money on tour if you don't know how to save it.
Sure.
A lot of people do that. I watch that happen a lot.
Is it expensive to go to the Renaissance Fair? Are
as a patron?
Yes. Are your audiences is it a wide range of?
This Renaissance Fair is $40 to get in per ticket.
Okay.
And that's just walking through the gate.
That's pretty cost prohibitive.
Absolutely. This festival definitely targets an upper class family.
Got it.
I always say you're going to spend at least $100 per person on stuff outside of your gate fee.
Right.
People spend thousands of dollars going there and buying really, really fancy.
There was
larger.
good art.
Yeah.
Good art.
Yeah. There's beautiful high-end, handmade, and everything that's there is made by the people that are there too.
Sure.
You're not getting stuff from China. It's all handcrafted leather, hand-dyed silks, things that are.
Are there any rugs from Afghanistan? Because I think I'm going to start.
I can't comment on that. I don't know.
They do have $40 flower crowns, which feels like a trap if you have a girlfriend.
$40 flower
crowns.
crowns. Crowns.
Yeah.
Got it.
You're not getting away without buying one of those.
I think my other thing would be probably creative control. I really love that I'm working in a job where I can write my own material. I think that's really, really cool.
Would you ever do a like an act like a Renaissance fair after dark kind of thing, like where it's like dirty?
You know, it's funny. I actually just got booked for one.
Really?
The New Jersey, and I can plug this too. The New
Is
Jersey.
this one like now with the knives? You're like, this is to
Renaissance
shave
fair.
my pussy.
Yeah. God, I really hope anyone hiring me is listening to this with a grain of salt. I'm a family-friendly act. I'm a family-friendly act.
You are. You
No,
are.
she
No, we
obviously-
said. Well, I'm saying like
Hire me, Disney.
You just got booked for an after.
But yeah, so the New Jersey Renaissance Festival, I'm going to be doing 1 week there in June. And it's just a Saturday, Sunday. And on Saturday night, after they close the fair, they're doing an after dark show that I'm headlining. So I get to do, I think, an hour or 45 minutes of really, truly whatever I want, not even just making it family friendly. And it's an additional ticket to get in for that. And that'll be, I think, around 7 or 7:30. And
What days is this?
it's a Saturday.
But what day for the listeners so they can find
It is
We'll link to it.
Saturday, the first Saturday in June of 2024.
2024.
You're
All right.
plugging far out.
Yeah,
Man.
right. I don't have any
Is
dates there yet.
Halloween a big time for you?
It'll be June 1st, most likely. Halloween often can be. Yeah, this year I'm going to be working at the North Carolina Renaissance Festival on Halloween weekend. Last year I worked the Freaky Deaky Fest, which is the largest EDM festival in the country. It was in Texas, and it was like a Steve Aoki sort of situation.
Okay.
And I did contortion and emceeing in like this little freak show tent. And it was nuts. I honestly hate night work. Like, I am bad at night. I don't like working into the night.
Really?
I am happy to wake up at 8 a.m. and be in bed by 9. Like, that's my happy place, which is also why I love Ren Fairs. But this was like a start at 9 p.m., end at 3 a.m. sort of situation. So, like, drugs helped, but whoo!
I fantasize about being in more power where I can have earlier days. Like, this is not a great person to use as an example. But Bill Cosby would do like 5:30 p.m. shows.
Love it.
And then afterwards, he could go out to dinner.
And
with
do
his
what at
friends,
dinner? What would he do at dinner?
Make some drinks. And there's times where I'm like,
And then you're like, usually I don't get this tired this early, but I am exhausted.
there's times I'm like, I look at my life of like no nights, and I'm like, what have you done? What have you done to your life?
You're like, of no nights?
Of
What do you
just
mean?
like not having nights free.
Oh,
in general.
sure.
I'm like, you've cut yourself off from like the coolest part of life.
How often are you, like, on stage at night? Is it like a 7-night-a-week thing? Like, as much as you can?
I'd say the average is 6.
Mine is 5 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's like an open mic or an actual gig?
It's never an open mic.
Never.
Okay.
God.
Got it.
I
I
see
don't
my
know.
headlining
Used to
shows
be.
I don't know
as
your
open
life.
mics.
What?
I see my headlining shows as just an hour and a half.
Okay.
of open mics.
Okay. I see my old man hustle shows as open mic. Cut that.
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can. I'm on tour a lot this fall, so you can go to my website arieleliascomedy.com for all the dates, or you can just it's the same social media handle on everything, Ariel_comedy. I'll be in Toronto for Just for Laughs, September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Great. So this is coming out the 19th, so that's perfect.
Perfect.
Go
And
see her. We
then-
have a lot of people in Toronto.
Yeah,
Go see that,
I
Toronto.
love Toronto so much. And the
Toronto,
last
I know we
time
got listeners there.
The last time I was in Toronto, I was there, and I had a horrible stomach virus, and so I was sitting on stage. Very different vibe. It'll be a bit more energetic.
You saw her last time. Give her one more chance. Give her one more chance.
It was great. I love Toronto so much.
Ah.
And then September 28th through the 30th, I'll be in Winnipeg. So if you are there, please come to that.
I saw you got a real Canada lineup.
I'm doing a
coming up.
Canada
I saw.
run.
I love that.
October, I'm coming back to Louisville, October 20th and 21st at Planet of the Tapes. Buy tickets for that so we can add a second show on
Based
Saturday.
on my experience there, we do not have a lot of listeners there.
I might be.
Oh, yeah, I
maybe
saw
I'm
that
giving you the
post.
Kentucky
Based on my
bump.
shows that I did there, not a ton of listeners.
And then there's other dates. Just go. I'm coming back to Texas, Austin, Fort Worth. It'll be great.
And then for me, it's coming out the 19th. I will be headlining Rosa Bianca Vineyards, Connecticut, September 21st. Ryan Brouth gig. Hey, Ryan. September 22nd and 23rd, Poughkeepsie, New York. And then, guys, October 1st, I'm coming to, it's close to Cincinnati. It's in Liberty. It is Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati. October 1st, it's my first time doing a funny bone. They're big.
Hey.
They're big. And they will cancel. Don't get it twisted. They will cancel my
you don't
show
fill it?
if I don't get enough people there. October
God.
1st, Funny Bone, Liberty. It's in Cincinnati. It's in Ohio. Just go.
Which also means if you're in Northern Kentucky, if you're listening to this, because I'm from Kentucky and you clicked on this, go see Gianmarco and right outside Cincinnati. It's a quick drive.
Quick drive.
Go to the Newport Aquarium.
Join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. We're now doing a bonus episode every month with my co-host, Russell Daniels. Patreon.com/downside. You get all our live episodes, bonus episodes, and it's a good time. Leo, tell the people where to find you, what to do.
I am here at the New York Renaissance Festival until October 8th, and then I'll be at the Carolina Renaissance Festival the 28th, 29th, and then November 4th and 5th, which is very exciting. That'll be my first time there, and it's been a big anticipated thing. I've had a lot of people ask me when I'm coming there. And then I'm coming back home to Chicago for a double feature. I'm doing a family show at 3:30 p.m. on December 9th, and then we switch it up, and we're doing the Holiday Naughty show in the evening.
Holiday Naughty.
Which is my first time doing a show that I can actually just market as dirty. So I feel it's an opportunity to pull out the jokes that I usually can't say. And then, I'm hoping to return to the California Renaissance Festival and then back to Chicago for the Bristol Renaissance Festival coming 2024. Don't ask me in my DMs where I'm going. Go to my website at tinygirlbigshow.com.
Are you going to have a dirty title for that show?
tinygirldirtyshow.com.
Really?
I mean, I'm not going to make a whole website for it, but probably might be the Tiny Girl Dirty Show.
What clean girl dirty show?
Hey.
It's called Tiny Girl Big Show.
Tiny.
Yeah, no.
I had a joke title in my head, but
What was your joke title?
I think it's pretty on the nose. Tiny Girl Big Le Coq. This is the downside.
Tiny Girl Big Strap On. Let's go.
1, 2, 3. Downside. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
Tell him, Russell.
Subscribe to The Downside right now.
Where?
Down here. Or here. We don't know, but just do it.
Or also, what else could they do?
They can follow the Patreon. They can subscribe to the Patreon.
No!
Sorry.
Patreon.com/downside.
Too much pressure.